Good evening. We'll call this regular meeting of the Fargo School Board to order. We do have an agenda in front of us. Jim?
I move adoption of the agenda as provided with the addition of the HR addendum that was at our workstation.
Second.
Okay. Approval of the agenda is on the floor. Any additions or discussion? Okay, we will move forward as presented. Staff reports, FEA report.
Do you want to take a vote?
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's kind of important, isn't it? All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. All right, now we will move forward. Staff reports, FEA, go ahead.
All right, just want to make sure recognition of audience was before me. Is that okay, or do you want to continue on?
I'm having a rough night. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, David, for the reminder. Recognition of the audience. At this time, the board will hear comments from the public. We ask that each speaker who has signed up to address the board state their name and address for the record. We would also ask that speakers refrain from using this forum to criticize or complain about a specific employee by name. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond or debate issues in this forum. Should you desire a written response to a specific question, you may request it. This evening, each speaker will be allotted a maximum of 5 minutes. We do have one speaker that has signed up to address the board. Her name is Nicole Byer. Nicole, would you like to approach the podium, please? Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Byer. My address is 1438 14th Street South in Fargo. Good evening, school board members. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Byer, and I am a social studies teacher at South High School. I stand before you today as a teacher and a member of the FEA, but also as a young mother and wife who asks that you show compassion for my family and the thousands of other families at your mercy as I feel you hold our contracts hostage. Mr. David Paulson, I have to speak directly to you for a brief moment. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you. You were my 8th grade science teacher at Cheney Middle School. And I honestly can say that you are one of the people who initially made me start to realize that I'm interested in working with others. So thank you for that. A lot has happened since that time. I have 2 kids. I was nominated for the district's Teacher of the Year. And guess what, Mr. Paulson? I earned my master's degree this summer. I'd like to think that you are proud of a student of yours furthering her education to a level as high as that. Guess what else happened this summer? I had to get a second job. Me with a master's degree. I bring home less and less every year because my school board values me so little that I can't even get a cost of living wage increase to be able to afford my 2-bed, 1-bath house right here in Fargo. I ask that you think back for a minute to my school year with you, 2005 to 2006, when I was sitting in your classroom. Imagine looking at the faces of those young students and telling them that they aren't worthy of a livable wage. Those very students of yours who showed up to science class every day, eager to hear what their funny, spirited teacher, Mr. Paulson, would have to say. Could you do it? Could you crush their hopes and dreams? Because that's what you're doing to one of those very students when you refuse to meet the FEA halfway. Mr. Rodenbiker, last school year, I served on a committee for the state of North Dakota's Department of Public Instruction to help rewrite the state social studies standards. On this committee, I met a family member of yours, a fellow social studies teacher, who told me time and time again how supportive you are of teachers and that you are one of the few members of the Fargo School Board who has the teacher's best interests in mind. I have yet to see this opinion ring true. I now turn to the school board as a whole. I ask that you check your moral compass, and with whatever compassion and humanity you have left, please work with the FEA to come to a consensus. If you value the education of students in Fargo Public Schools, if you want to keep your position on this school board, this upcoming election cycle, but most importantly, if you value the teachers in this district and want to retain quality educators for the students, that's why we're all here, then I urge you to compromise with the FEA and stop holding teacher contracts hostage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Byer. Now we are on to staff reports. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you.
Marquardt.
First topic, FEA collected Jeans Week in November, and we're excited to share that Fargo Public Schools have donated about $3,000 to the Fargo Public Schools Foundation for Critical Needs, and all that money will be going towards a lunch aid. So that check will be presented to them shortly in the next few weeks, and so we'd like to thank all the employees for their donations and for a great cause. Going into the letter that you, the school board, sent to our staff last week regarding negotiations, it did nothing more than divide us even more. Several members reached out to show their dissatisfaction. I'll read you a few comments from our members. I've been an educator for over 20 years, and I have never been spoken to by another professional the way the board's letter to us read. It was insulting at best. Number 2, the letter we received yesterday was so condescending and reeked of ignorance. I hope it's communicated to them that this was not a positive way to build trust and respect with teachers. Number 3, this letter seems like an intent to intimidate and divide our negotiating body. I am offended and discouraged at the board's continued divisive tactics in this negotiation. Number 4, timing could not have been worse. Teachers come back refreshed from a break and get an instant reminder as soon as they get to work that they aren't respected by the school board. That is a slap in the face. The board is directly responsible for the low morale of the teachers and support staff of our district. Number 5, the feeling around our building after the unfortunate email sent out by the board this past week was pretty clear. We all felt it was an attempt to undercut the hard work that has been done by the union to negotiate a fair and clear manner. We believe that the intent of the email was to divide the union members, but all it really did was anger us more. And the last one, number 6, the letter the board sent to teachers was degrading. This was just a few of the comments that we received on behalf of that letter. As you can see, there will be time and commitment needed to regain the trust and respect back from your staff. Several times over the past few months, FEA has asked the board members to spend some time in the buildings, talk to staff, and see what is happening on a day-to-day basis. Our members have yet to see that. It is the hope of FEA that after the new year, the staff of Fargo Public Schools will see you in the buildings, trying to rebuild the relationships that are broken. As you know, you'll be accepting my resignation tonight. I am a teacher with over 20 years of experience in Fargo Public Schools. I have my master's with over 45 credits, taught first, second, third, and PE grades K through 5 and alternative classes. I've been a lead teacher, school improvement leader, certified advanced ed, and a coach at the junior high, junior varsity, and varsity level. Just to name a few things. I'm not alone in what I have done. Your staff is just as dedicated and involved as I have been. And because of this, FEA has been very clear from the beginning that we feel it is the best interest of our members, the district, and the community to resolve this contract at the table. We felt so strongly that we even went to court to try and get back to the table when the board first tried to declare impasse. When the judge recommended that we conduct the mediation process at the board as the board wanted, we complied. The mediation panel conducted themselves in good faith, and we feel that they came back with recommendations that were thoughtful and realistic. However, even though the board insisted on the mediation, you were not even willing to discuss the salary compromise that the mediators recommended and did not take advantage of the opportunity to caucus at the December 7th meeting. The fact that we have resolved every issue except work year and salary indicates to us that we have not exhausted every effort to negotiate in good faith. We have had only one conversation regarding work year and only 2 conversations regarding salary. FEA has stated repeatedly on December 7th that we were willing to accept the mediator's recommendation. It seems clear that it doesn't matter that the fact-finding commission recommends because it is becoming more apparent that the board is only interested in going through the process so that we can impose another contract as you did in 2017. The imposition that the contract caused our members to view the board with distrust. Because of the freeze on steps in that imposed contract, we have veteran teachers who have been paid less than new hires with the same academic preparation and years of experience. Those teachers certainly do not feel that the board values their commitment to the district, yet every day they use their expertise and their dedication to nurture and educate students. We feel strongly that another imposed contract would damage any chance that the district and FEA can move on and try to build a collaborative relationship. Another imposed contract would destroy what is left of the board's credibility with the teachers in the district who do not feel valued or respected by the board. We find ourselves less than 0.5% of the district's total budget apart, which is too close for even the fact-finding commission to consider. Again, we do not agree that we are at impasse, and we are yet again asking the board to reconsider their position and accept the recommendation of the mediation panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marquardt. On to item 4B. Dr. Gandhi, would you like to make introductions, please?
Sure. I will actually hand it over to Dr. Jonas to introduce our speakers this evening and the program that we're going to be highlighting at tonight's board meeting.
Good evening, Fargo Public School Board members. I'm so excited to be back. It's been a while since I've been able to visit a meeting and share some really positive information about the good things happening in our schools. So I think tonight, what's interesting about this evening is we have a cornucopia of information to share with you in the Family Consumer Science Department, which is under Human Services. This is a very broad department, and it has a lot of pictures in it. Tonight we have some young educators in the room, future teachers interested in becoming teachers that are a part of our new education pathway. So they will be sharing a little bit about their experience this year in our first pilot semester for Fargo Public Schools. We also have some very talented restaurant skills, future chef connoisseur here in the room, who has made some delightful treats for you. And so I think without further ado, I'll have you serve those up. And then we'll go ahead and get started with a little overview of the presentation and in the essence of time. In career and technical education, our focus is on creating opportunities for students to be able to have awareness of themselves, the career opportunities ahead of them, have pathways for exploration, and give them some coursework for possible preparation. We always think about this within the Fargo Public Schools strategic plan, and we want to make sure that we think about how we support the overall goals of the district. And as you can see with the Family Consumer Sciences area, we're working on student academic growth in 21st century skills and content curriculum, leadership, they'll talk a little bit about that. We have advisory committees that assist us. And so we have a load of coursework in this Family and Consumer Science area. And what I can tell you is this particular pathway starts as early as 6th grade. We actually have elementary coursework that's with our wellness initiatives and health in elementary school, but at the 6th grade and 8th grade, there's some specific coursework for all students to take. And then we get into high school and we have several courses I'll show you in this pathway. Here is the actual coordinated plan of study for the Human Services Family Consumer Science Department. You can see we have some broader categories at the top, but there's a family and community services pathway. We have an early childhood development pathway, and of course our restaurant and food service pathway, a visual arts, and then we get into the new teaching and training pathway that's exciting. Bismarck Public Schools and the Cass County area are the only schools offering education training specifically at this time. What I really want to commend is the 16 educators that we hire in the FACS department across all of our buildings and in these grade levels. They are so passionate about what they do. They are continuing to collaborate with each other, as you can see with our post-secondary, whether it's NDSU or NDSCS, and the business community to try to make whatever we do in these classrooms a great experience for our students. They are extremely dedicated individuals, and I'm fortunate to be working with them. At the middle level, again, 6th grade and 8th grade, they learn everything from how to cook safely at home, how to be childcare, take care of children, how to wash your clothes properly. I mean, good things, right? Good life skills that every mom and dad would love their child to know. And again, we go up to Woodrow Wilson, and we have a variety of students in those courses because of the Adult Learning Center and also our EL program. I'm going to bring forward all of our guests here and teachers tonight. Mrs. Duffy Feely, Mrs. Sinkler's here. She may be participating, and we have our students that are in the wings ready to step up and share their experiences. But Mrs. Feely, we'll turn it over to you, and you can talk about FCCLA.
Good evening. My name is Lana Feely. I'm a teacher at Davies High School. I am also one of the 2 FCCLA advisors at that school. Mrs. Sinkler, who is here with me tonight, is the other co-advisor, and so we do it as a team. The pictures that you see up here are from some of our conventions. We go to Bismarck in the spring for the state convention, and this past summer we did have some kids make it to national convention. So the picture at the bottom, we took them to Anaheim, California. It was a tremendous experience, very, very good for them. Jack Lingle, who served you up the grapefruit creme brulee, actually participated in FCCLA last year and did get a scholarship to culinary school because we did take first at state last year. He did qualify to go to Anaheim, but unfortunately could not attend with us. So very good opportunities for us to have leaders in our community. It does stand for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. I'm sure there was someone that had that question. So we do try to give those kids those leadership opportunities. This year, we do have a District 6 president out of Davies High School, which is the first time ever for us. So we're very proud of her and thrilled to have that leadership opportunity. Mrs. Sinkler and I just returned from Bismarck, where she was at a winter leadership meeting with the other state officers, led by Ann Deichman, who is our state director. As far as some of our pathways go, you are experiencing our restaurant skills and food service. This is the top level class that you can take. We do offer 5 courses in this career path, but this is the one that is career-based. We do run the Nest down at Davies High School. South also offers the Bruin, what's Bruin? I believe is what it's called now. And North does offer this class as well. We are currently up and running. We have this week and next week left in this semester for this course, so they will be open 2 more times. And with that, like I said, they run the restaurant where they actually do everything from the cooking to the managing to being head chef to running the front of the house, back of the house. This is my current crew. We went to NDSCS 2 weeks ago where they got to hang out with the chefs down there. They let us come down. The kids made 2 omelets and then they made some fruit tarts with the chefs down there. They had their students teach our students to make 2 different things. So that was very fun. Jack did win the most beautiful tart, was that correct? Yeah. So he won a rolling pin and something else. What did you win? A certificate. Okay. So we had a great time. That was a very good opportunity for us to be able to take our kids and show them a career path in the culinary arts. Some of the other programs that we offer are our visual arts, textile, sewing, interior design, where kids really are hands-on and they are making things that they will use in their future. As you can see some of the pictures up here, there's some housing and interior design projects at the top, and then we have some of our textile arts at the bottom, the North Dakota that is embroidered, and then to the right you'll see a quilt being made there, I believe is what you're seeing. But we do have a lot of hands-on projects where people will take those skills home, use them for the rest of their lives. And we also have our early childhood development, and this really is the beginning of our career path in our teaching unit. So Mrs. Sinclair is currently running the daycare at Davies, where we have children coming in every day, and our students are the teachers for that class. So they are learning to be a preschool teacher, and every day the kids come in, they plan the snacks, they plan the activities, they design the room, the setup for the room, and then when those kids are in, they are starting their profession as a teacher. Which leads us maybe to some of our other pathways. The Human Services Career Cluster, we have the Hospitality and Tourism Career Cluster, our Arts, Technology, Communication Career Cluster, and then our Education and Training Career Cluster, which is what we're kind of here to talk about tonight because we have some new opportunities there. Oh, that's, okay. I forgot that was in there. So this is something new that we are starting this year, and we're really excited to have this in the FACS department and in our schools. And it is a dual credit opportunity through Valley City State University. They've been amazing to work with. They have allowed us to give our kids the opportunity to get credit while they take courses in education. The first year here, we have our Intro to Education, which I have some of my students with me. They are all students that were interested in becoming teachers. So this is their opportunity to come in, take a class, and really get out, observe, learn about education, and confirm if this is the career path for them. We do coordinate with West Fargo and Northern Cass on this. We wrote curriculum together this summer, which was a great opportunity, and I do PLC weekly with the West Fargo group. So that is very nice that we can cross reference with each other. Our districts look different, but we're all on the same path to get more teachers in to our schools. So that's what you see at the top is the two teachers from West Fargo. We did have a big day up at NDSU. They opened their doors to us and took our kids through and really treated them pretty great and showed them all the opportunities they had there. Am I good to have them? Oh, yes, last week we did have Valley City State's president come out and meet with our kids. Brought them t-shirts, we sat and chatted, gave them the opportunity, and we are hoping to go visit their school after Christmas break as well, to give them a little more insight into what Valley City State does have to offer, because they're a great education school. I will have my students come and speak to this class because they are the ones that are currently enrolled. We do have more than this. Not everybody could make it tonight, but we have 4 fabulous students that would love to share their experience with you.
Hello, I'm Gracie Lingle, and I'm a senior at Davies High School. So at the beginning of the year, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to be. It was either between a police or teacher. And this class has really shown me that I for sure want to be an elementary school teacher. We've learned a lot of different things through this class, through administration, teaching methods, instructional methods, different learning types, and like all that kind of stuff. And it's really just fun to learn about. I don't know. But like when you go into, like we're observing, so when you go into the classrooms and see all that like working, and when you see the students working together with the teacher and student interactions, it's really inspiring and motivating. I'm observing kindergarten class at Eagles Elementary, and it's just so much fun how much energy they have and how motivated they are to actually want to go to school, unlike some older grades. So I plan on majoring in elementary education, and something that's really inspired me to become a teacher and be in this class is I've kind of grown up in a family of teachers. My grandma and grandpa were teachers, and my mom was a teacher and now is a principal. So I grew up like practicing teaching and just writing on boards and everything. And this year I've truly like being with the kids and working with them has just inspired me to actually become a kindergarten teacher. So yeah.
Hello, my name is Danielle Bach, and I'm a junior at Davies High School. I want to become a music education teacher, specifically orchestra, and that's what I'm observing right now in middle school at Discovery. I'm observing their sectional classes of like different orchestra instruments. That's also one of the great parts of this class is you get to go out and you get to observe and be with the students and really have a hands-on experience. And you also, I feel like when you go and you talk with the teacher, you're not talking with them as a student, you're talking with them as like one of their peers and talking with them as a teacher instead of talking with them as a student. Another great thing about this class is that we get to have a lot of guest speakers come in. Dr. Gandhi got to come and speak with us, and then we also had the president from Valley City State come, and I thought that was just really great. And we get to have a lot of people within the education field come and speak to us, and it's a really great experience. So, yeah.
Bonjour, my name is Hannah. I am a senior at Davies High School as well, and once I graduate, I plan to go into a French education field and be either a middle school or high school French teacher. Once my 8th grade year of middle school came about, I just took French as a fun thing to do to learn a new language, and then after the years as it's grown, it's become something that I've really loved. And it's not just because how my perspective on life has changed through learning about their culture and stuff. It's because I've also had some amazing teachers who have really impacted my life. And so through taking this class, it's made me have the opportunity to work with other students and get an idea of what this field is really going to be like once I exit and go into college. And it's really solidified the idea that this is what I want to do. And it just gives me a chance to, now that I'm observing a level 2 French class at Davies, to be able to work with the students is an amazing experience to know like what an average day of a teacher is going to look like and all the responsibility that comes with it. I love going into the class and just having a conversation with the students and getting those in-depth ideas from their perspective and how everyone has a different opinion on topics, and it's really interesting to see people come together and collaborate on that. I love how this class is a dual credit class, so even though I can get college credit, but I still have the experience now and solidify the idea of me becoming a teacher. Feely has been an amazing instructor as well, just letting us ask her a billion questions during the day and getting her perspective and her response along with the other educators' responses that I've been asking them a bunch of questions when I do my observations.
Hi, my name is Claire Ebson, and I am a junior at Davies High School, and I'm looking to be an elementary education teacher. So basically, I really like this class because it's given me a lot of hands-on experience with what being a teacher is really like. And one thing that we did at the beginning was we observed elementary, middle, and high school, which I found to be very helpful because I wasn't exactly sure exactly where I wanted to be, but after watching all of them, I'm kind of set on being an elementary school teacher. And I think that being able to go to our teachers, my teacher, at least for me, she's helped me a lot. And like one thing she said to me, one of the first times I observed with her was teaching is learning. And that's really opened my eyes a lot because it's so true. You're constantly learning as a teacher. You're learning about your students. You're learning about all the different types of different projects and stuff. And I just think that the overall experience has been really good. And I do really like the discussions that we have in class. We often dig deep into the material in our textbook that we're reading, and we talk about, social scenarios, and we've talked about the psychology part of it, and we've talked about so many different issues and things that can arise in teaching, but we've made conversations about them, and that's super helpful too. And I just think, after doing this class, I've noticed that I love going on observations. I love watching, people teach, and that's kind of what makes me know that I should be a teacher, because if I like watching it, then I'm sure I'll love doing it. Yeah, so I give this class 2 thumbs up.
How do you follow that? All right, I don't know. Well, obviously, you can see from a small sampling of students that obviously this education pathway has great potential. We started out spending a lot of time in the Family Consumer Science Department with childcare and the small children, which is really important, but it can lead into this pathway. And the vision of growing our own starts now. And obviously, many of you in this room inspired others in this room. But it's fun to see the students in action, and we're glad they could be here tonight to share their story. I think what makes it most exciting as we move forward in our partnership is we do have some classes beyond this class approved for dual credit for next year. The clinical experience that they're doing right now, we're going to work to extend that to a semester, so they'll have more time to work with the teacher. And then educating the exceptional student is the next class that we have been approved for, and that will take the view of working with diverse learners, whether special education, gifted and talented, so that'll provide a bigger perspective of what we have to work with in the classroom as well. And I think making this available to our students just help them think. In your slide deck, these are some of the activities that they learned as far as just the history of education, and you can read. They were supposed to attend a board meeting, so tonight is their board meeting, and others may show up in the next few weeks. I think one of the things that's even more exciting for Fargo Public Schools is that I know Dr. Gandhi and Dr. Gross have been envisioning even a bigger plan, and in this just snapshot is how our high school program could feed into the future of an adult learners plan, so that a student would actually move into their four-year degree. And there's a whole spreadsheet that Dr. Gross shared with me with many, many pages, and I just took a clip of ours and put it on the screen. But I think this is the beginning of how we help grow our own. When we talk about all the other career pathways that I've presented and our teachers have presented in the past, this is the one that feeds this pathway and the careers that we have in this district. Whether they become teachers, they might become a child care provider, which is a huge occupational need in our area. And you can see from the culinary conversation we have tonight in restaurant, that's another huge occupational need in our area. So we're really excited for the Family and Consumer Science Department and all they do. So thank you for your time tonight. And if you have any questions, you can please let us know.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm really excited to see the high school education pathway expand and grow. I know we've been talking about as a district, how do we do this for years? Is this part of our larger Cass County Career and Technical Education Center and part of that effort?
Well, I would say the effort is collaborative and a part of Cass County. It's not specifically funded under the virtual center. We're
Okay.
running these all through our Family Consumer Science departments. And Northern Cass, right now we have students at West Fargo, High School, Cheyenne, Davies, and Northern Cass, and Central Cass may jump on next year.
Okay, excellent.
We will be, it's in the program of studies, so we will be advertising it to all of our high schools in Fargo Public Schools.
Thank you very much. And I do have to say this creme brulee is excellent. I'm an aficionado and the crust is just perfect. Grapefruit is very delicate and just a nice addition to the traditional cream. Big fan, thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. A special thanks to Jack, Gracie, Danielle, Hannah, and Claire. I have a quick question about the early childhood development program, since that is my industry. So that is offered at Davies, correct? Okay. Is that a licensed childcare? And then do you serve the kids all day long? Is it birth to 5? Yes, bring everybody up.
Currently, it's my child development classes that are running the childcare, and we call it a learning center because it's only a couple hours a day. And no, we are not a licensed childcare center. We have 2 courses that build up to each other. So we've got child development, and that leads into childcare careers, where students get more field experience at childcare centers. So this is more of just a hands-on opportunity for them to see about the different areas of development and types of development that we talk about early in the semester, and now they get to see hands-on how 3-year-olds learn, how they interact, and so it's just a very short snapshot of a child care center.
Wonderful. If anybody needs a job when you're in college, in early childhood or education, you come talk to the Fargo Youth Commission or the Boys and Girls Club. You're very impressive. It's good for the resume as well. Thank you for the wonderful, inspiring presentation. Thank you, Ms. Jonas. Enrollment projections and demographics report. Dr. Gandhi.
Sure. So, as you will have received with your board packets, there are two reports. There's one RSP enrollment analysis report, and then there is a demographic report provided by the RSP group that we work with in Fargo Public Schools. What I will do today is I will give you some high-level summary and go through the enrollment analysis report. Obviously open to more questions. There's a lot of information in this report that I probably won't be able to cover even with as much time that I have allotted to me. But really want to just start right off the bat with one thing. A fundamental difference in this report that is different this year versus prior years is that when you look at the enrollment at our buildings and the way it's reported, we no longer are using the term capacity. In this report, we are now using the term target enrollment. A reason that we're using the term target enrollment is that's because of a discussion from two board work sessions that we had in this July and August about what is the long-term vision for Fargo Public Schools. Capacity is always a very tough word when it comes to reporting out in your school district because there are national formulas and there's people that have a certain usage of per square footage, how many kids can you fit into a building? But as we know, that's not how schools work. There are unique circumstances, there's programming needs where it's not just based off square footage that can dictate how many students can fit into that building. So in 2017, two associate superintendents for Fargo Public Schools at that time went and walked every building, looked at every program that we had in every building and determined, okay, based on the capacity and the unique needs of individualized programs, what are the capacities for those individual buildings? And that's what we started submitting to RSP. Well, that was also based on what that building can house, based on the program that they have and how big the building is. When we went to a work session after the task force, this past July and August, what we had discussed as a board and the consensus from the board was moving forward, the long-term vision for Fargo Public Schools is not to just look at each building and how many kids can fit in there based on programming needs, but to make sure that we have a consistent feeder pattern for our secondary schools. Meaning the long-term vision for Fargo Public Schools is to have 4 comprehensive middle schools that feed into 4 comprehensive high schools. When you do that, that is going to change the amount of students that we expect at each building. So that is why we shifted to the term target enrollment. Because, for example, a target enrollment, so if North High School can fit 1,000 students, then we know that the target enrollment for Ben Franklin should be, this is not a perfect formula, but if you take 1,000 students divided by 4 grade levels, multiply that number by 3 grade levels that you'd have at Ben Franklin, you have to make sure that Ben Franklin has that number if you want that consistent feeder pattern. So that is why in this report you will see the term target enrollment for each of our buildings. That is based on the discussion from our work session, the consensus provided by the board, and then the subsequent changes we made to the guiding principles in our long-range facilities plan. So that is just kind of a quick introduction. For the elementary level, we're still using target enrollment, but the calculations are still the same as what we did in 2017, walking through those buildings to see how many students can we serve, given the unique programs that we have at each of our buildings. And that is information that we provided to RSP for this report. All right, so I will just walk us through. Again, lots of information, so I will, I'll try to be slow, but also please ask questions afterwards or along the way if you have. But we will go ahead and start with page 7 of the report. Overall, I think in the next 5 years, Fargo Public Schools is going to continue to see an enrollment increase. As a district, in the next 5 years, we are looking at about a 533 student increase annually, increasing from anywhere from 79 students to 128 students, which is between 0.7% to 1.1%. When we look at target enrollment challenges over the next couple of years, what stands out are Bennett Elementary School. Currently, we're showing that we're going to exceed or hit our target enrollment number by 24-25. Claire Barton often gets highlighted in this report. But oftentimes what you'll see is just by a couple of students or a handful of students, and then kind of the target enrollment numbers are back down. That is not a concern for us as a district. We've seen Claire Barton kind of exceed that from 5 to 10 students in the past and then kind of go back, and that's what we're looking to see according to the RSP analysis. Discovery Middle School and Davies High School, which we've talked about, we know that we continue to see growth in our secondary buildings on the south side of town, and that's why the board is engaged, or asked administration to engage in the work to look at how can we alleviate some of the target enrollment issues that we have at both of those buildings. Not on this, but I will talk a little bit about it throughout the report. That's something that we should monitor over the course of the next 5 years, and in our future RSP reports is Ed Clapp Elementary School. What you will see today is when we look at our heat map and our density is that the Ed Clapp neighborhood is going to continue to get more dense with students, and we know that it's a newer building in that community. We built exactly for that reason, but we're going to continue to see some growth there. Currently in this report, I think we have hitting Ed Clapp at the 5 years from now. RSP has said in this report that their projections are really extremely accurate. So RSP's projections, when they're 5 years out, are about 94%, 95%. When you get to 2 years out, 1 year out, they get even higher, 98%, 99%. So as we continue to engage in this process over the next couple of years, I think it'll be important to keep an eye on Ed Clapp in that neighborhood and seeing how many students are being served and the growth in that area. So I will take us all the way to the demographics page on page 18. And this really just kind of provides us a snapshot of our district demographics and how much we've increased over the last several years. And what you will see is on an annual rate, and if you look at it in 10-year segments from 2000 to 2010, 2010 to 2019, and then what we're seeing or projecting for the next 5 years from 2019 to 2024 is a continual increase in our district. So our district population and housing are going to continue to increase at a faster rate over the next 5 years than they have in the past. Specifically, we know that what's said in the RSP analysis is that that's the rate that they're projecting right now. If and when flood protection is available more on the south side of town, that rate could also expand exponentially, so it's something for us to keep an eye on. The next page, on page 19, just gives you a demographic comparison of our district in comparison to West Fargo, the city of Fargo, Cass County, and the state of North Dakota. Really good snapshot information about the population that we serve and our families that we serve as well. So I will then take us to page 20. Couple of really big indications as we look at the chart on page 20, which is our past school enrollment by grade. This past year, kindergarten has been the largest grade. We've had 964 students. It's the largest kindergarten class that we've had in recent years. And over the next 3 years or so, you're going to continue to see incoming kindergarten classes that are significantly higher than outgoing 12th grade classes at our secondary buildings. So we know that currently we're having challenges at our middle school and high school on the south side of town, but as a district in the future years, we're going to continue to see higher elementary classes coming that way as well. So with that being said, I am just going to go straight to page 25, and I think this is really something that we've talked about as a past and something that we want to monitor in our district, and this is our student demographic heat map. So as you look at this map, what you'll see is that the red areas depict the highest areas of student density in our school district, and the gray areas have the lowest student density. Really, 4 areas that have the highest student density are north near Longfellow Elementary School, north central near Jefferson, south central near Ed Clapp, and then south near Bennett Elementary School. I'll give you a moment to take a look at this heat map just so you can kind of see the growing trend, but I also want to show a quick video. What this video is, it shows you the heat maps over, I think starting from 2003 onwards up till this year. So you can see the impact of the student density in the specific areas one area that, like I said before, is continue to see the growth in the Ed Clapp neighborhood. So we'll go ahead and play that now. So towards the end of that video, I think one of the things is that 10, 15 years ago, we might have had different high student density areas, different hotspots. But in the last 5 to 6 years, it's been consistent and consistently growing, specifically near Jefferson, near Ed Clapp. And then, as we know, that there's going to continue to be on the south side of town near Bennett as well. So that's just going to be something for us as a district to monitor as we look at long-term planning for us as a district. The second part of this report really dives down specifically into enrollment numbers at our building. And if you go to page, sorry. If you go to page 35, that'll kind of give you a summary of just development in Fargo, in the city of Fargo, and what's happening. And as we've talked about in the past, Fargo is a very linear city. And a lot of the new development continues to be south of 52nd Avenue. So that is where we're expecting to see most of our growth in our long-range facilities and financial plan. One of the things that we've identified is the need for a future elementary school south of 52nd, south of Bennett, and that's going to be really dependent on the development there. We are going to continue to show growth at Bennett. Over the next several years, we're going to continue to show growth on the south side of town. However, we also know, and what we've heard from the city of Fargo, from RSP, and from developers, is that two things are happening south of 52nd. One is that a lot of the neighborhoods there that were originally slated for larger home lots have now been reduced or cut, so they're smaller and more affordable lots. So there's an increase of individuals and families moving into there. And then second, there's a couple of neighborhoods south that are just waiting on flood protection. And as soon as their ability to buy those houses and live in those houses without flood insurance comes to fruition with the diversion project, there is expected to be exponential growth on that south side of town. So that's going to be something that's really important for us as a district to monitor as we look what's happening south of 52nd, but specifically south of Bennett Elementary School. That is a lot of information that I just summarized, but there's a lot more in the report, but I am open to questions. The demographic report breaks down student demographics and family demographics of each of the communities by school, and that's provided in that information as well. I'm sorry I'm not as exciting as creme brulee.
Well, these are very useful reports for our future planning and to do so proactively. As we kind of joked at the planning committee, the closer we get to the actual time, like John Wheeler, the more accurate the predictions come. But their accuracy has been quite accurate in the past. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure I will be filing these and referring to them often as we proceed. So, any other questions for Dr. Gandhi? Oh, David, go ahead.
What is our enrollment up for this current year?
Dr. Gross has his laptop in front of him, so he can give it to you as of today, maybe.
Page 20 of the report has enrollment on it if you want to flip to your report. Has the 1920 school year at the bottom of that table as of the date we sent this to them.
So as of the day of when RSP had put in this report, we were at 11,248, where they reported us for last year was 11,075. And I think Dr. Gross has where we are today.
So as of today, we are at 11,365 students.
I'm sorry, that's a growth of how much from last year then?
Have to find that number. I will grab that in just 1 minute, please.
And as he grabs it, I think one thing to just consider is time in which you're counting your enrollment numbers as well, because I know, Dr. Gross, just you're referencing to the annual report. I don't know what the last date of that report would be versus comparing it to today. 'Cause
The data used in the annual report is the November 1st from last year.
Thank you.
So as I look at page 39, maybe, Dr. Gandhi, can you just kind of talk us through what does this mean and highlight a couple of those? Because I see the projection decreases enrollment in 2022-23 by 384 students.
Correct. So what that means is that in this year's projection from RSP, they've reduced the projected growth from previous reports by 384 students in 22-23. And again, that's a product of them getting closer to 22-23. What they've realized is that we're growing, but we're not growing at the same rate that they thought we were 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Dr. Gandhi, thank you for those points. I agree with you. Having built a house in 2015 and watched the development that's gone on down there, totally agree with you. The lots being smaller now, that was quite a debate for the city. So I think everything that you're saying, and then when you're looking at the kindergarten versus the seniors that were graduating out, it's going to happen. It's going to keep increasing. So thanks for the pointers.
That question, I think it was David that answered the difference, about 250 from last year. If you take the 1175 from last year, 2018-19 to this year,
Well, I'm just using the November number from the annual report was 11,291.
48. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Any further questions? Okay. Very helpful reports. We appreciate your presentation. Moving on to item 4D, Superintendent Report. Again, Dr. Gandhi.
Alrighty, just a couple of quick items. As we've already referenced in the previous report, at your desk you have our 2018-2019 annual report. I know I normally keep a copy of this in my car, in my office, in my house. Very useful information about our district. Everything from the different programs we offer to several pages of student and staff recognitions of representing the great staff and students that we have in Fargo Public Schools, and a lot of other important information from our budget to our programming to our enrollment numbers as well. I would just like to thank our communications department for putting it together, because it is a lot of work, a lot of coordination, a lot of data work, but please use this report at your desk. I know as board members you probably get a lot of questions about Fargo Public Schools, so having that handy is helpful. Next thing is just more of an announcement. I think everyone in this room probably is aware, but because it is December, we are not going to have another board meeting, so after this we will meet again on January 14th.
Very good, thank you. We do have a consent agenda in front of us. I would entertain a motion. Jim?
I move adoption of the consent agenda as provided in the packet.
Second.
Okay. Motion's on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Consent agenda is approved. Next item is item 6, possible executive session.
President Nelson, I would move we enter executive session for the purpose of negotiation strategy as permitted under North Dakota Century Code Section 44-04-19.1.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of moving into executive session, please vote by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Okay, we will take a couple minutes while we get all the technology ready. Thank you. Board meeting back into session. The next item on the agenda is board reports, and we will start over on this side with Mr. Paulson.
Oh.
Caught you off guard, sorry.
It's been busy. Since the last report, I went to Centennial's Holiday Night. They had a music program presenting K through 5, and they had hot dogs and Dippin' Dots, and they had a tremendous crowd. It was really fun. Following Wednesday, I went to the CCCTE Career Tech Governing Board meeting. And one of the things that came out of that I wanted to mention specifically was that on January 20th, the Cass County Commission will be meeting, and specifically on their agenda is a workforce academy and what funding may be possible through Cass County. And Dr. Jonas made the comment that one of the things that she's heard from commissioners in the past is that if this workforce academy is so important, why don't we ever see any board members there? So I intend to go, and I would urge anybody else who may feel strongly about the Workforce Academy to be there as well. That's January 20th at 3:30 where they normally meet. The following Thursday, I went to, we had a negotiations committee meeting, then we had negotiations last Saturday, and then on coming up on Monday, I intend to go to the Dome Authority party, and then on the 12th, which is next Thursday, I have Hawthorne PTA. Thank you.
You were busy. I don't have anything new since the last meeting. Health Insurance Committee was scheduled to meet next week. However, it's being rescheduled. Most likely it's December, busy holiday time. But I don't have a new date for you yet. So when I do, I'll let you know. That's it.
Last Thursday, I was at that negotiations committee meeting. On Saturday, at negotiations with the FEA. I've been at several winter music performances from my daughter's school. Unfortunately, my son's was tonight, but I'm sure he did very well, and I'll congratulate him when I get home. Thank you.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I was at North High's production of the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I had been told that I might be called up on stage. They brought about 4 people up on stage to participate. And I was kind of happy that I wasn't called up, but it was very fun. The Native American Commission met December 5th, and on behalf of that group, I will be attending December 21st, the Homeless Persons Memorial event that is that evening of the 21st. It's usually a walk or kind of like a short march that starts at City Hall, outside City Hall, and we walk up Broadway to First Lutheran Church, where there's a memorial service for persons that have passed away from homelessness. And I'm just going to pass this information out. Jim, maybe you know about this too, because it is the City of Fargo soliciting input in preparation of its 2020 Consolidated Plan for Housing and Community Development. I'm not sure if you discussed this in your group, but I thought I'd pass this around in case you want to take a picture of that. They're looking for, by Friday, they said it's kind of a soft deadline. They're just looking for people to provide input on what we feel our needs are, so I thought I'd pass that around in case you're interested. And let's see, I observed the negotiations committee meeting and planning committee meeting. And then on the 5th of December, I went to the Student Success Forum that was at Dakota Medical Foundation and West Fargo Schools.
participated in hosting that. I had just happened to see that event on Facebook, so I kind of wanted to check it out too, to see in terms of like community engagement and thinking about communications committee and what kind of work goes on there. So I'm interested in just doing a little bit of follow-up with West Fargo to talk with them about what they're doing in terms of community engagement. But that event focused on mental health and suicide and suicide prevention, and I've ordered some additional information. Mr. Gandhi, you might already have this, but it's from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and they put together a model school district policy on suicide prevention. And I'm going to take a look at this too, but I've ordered some additional materials in case the district wants to take a look at that and see if there are any ideas that you feel we should be implementing. Just pass that on for suggestions. And I think there's a survey that's going to be coming out regarding communications committee, a poll, so that we can figure out when we're going to be meeting next. But it would be in January. We won't be meeting in December. Thank you.
Go ahead. Brian.
November 15th, I attended a planning meeting. November 19th, orchestra concert at Davies High School. November 23rd, on Saturday, I attended the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, Fargo North Theater. Having the opportunity to sit in the Davies Theater and the Fargo North Theater, I appreciate the Fargo North Theater. It's a little wider for a bigger guy like me. November 26th, I met with Dr. Gandhi. Enjoyed the meeting. This December 6th, we had another planning meeting. And then December 7th, I was here for the negotiations observing and just kind of watching how it all unfolded. And, you know, having been a person that's in education for 32 years, a teacher, a principal, and an educator, superintendent, now board member, father and mother, worked as a cook and a custodian in high school. You could say education is all I know. And it's disappointing when you hear and you get labeled from people saying that you don't care about staff and teachers, and that was upsetting to hear those things. So hopefully the relations can get better than what they are now, because I truly believe we do care. I do. I know that for a fact, and I do believe my colleagues here as well care.
Thank you. Brandy.
Okay, on Tuesday last week, I met with Catlin. She's the head of the Fargo Youth Initiative that I'm a liaison of, and she's from the city of Fargo, and we did some planning together on that, where we're going to open up more to what the kids pretty much want to see, you know, basically focusing it more on their ideas and just kind of doing a different structure of the whole Fargo Youth Initiative. So that was good information that we got together on. And then on Saturday, negotiations as well. And then last night was the Dome Authority, and I also went to that. That's it. Thank you.
I had the negotiations committee meeting and the session on Saturday, and we also had a planning committee meeting. And on the president's report, it does not show, but December 20th, we will have an additional planning committee meeting this month.
Thank you. Jim.
Well, I was at the negotiation committee meeting, then the Saturday negotiation session. Unfortunately, I had a funeral that forced me to miss the planning committee, and I apologize for that. Got an SEC board meeting tomorrow. I think next week we have a community development committee meeting, and Rebecca's absolutely right. We're trying to get as many people. This is actually a requirement for part of the recertification process, which is what the survey is trying to gather as much community feedback as possible. The K-12 North Dakota Visioning Steering Committee is scheduled to meet before our next board meeting, and I'm not 100% sure. Originally, I was scheduled to be in El Paso, Texas. Then they moved it to Austin, Texas. And unfortunately, it's the same time I should be in Frisco, Texas. But there are a group of 8 of us that are traveling from the state of North Dakota down to Texas to learn about some strategies that they're using down there in particular to provide better services into the rural districts. And I got volunteered for this trip, I guess. So we'll see where it ends up being. It started in El Paso, moved dates to Austin, but so far they still have got my El Paso ticket sitting in my inbox, so who knows? That's it.
That sounds like a country song. No, no. There you go. Okay, I've got the president's reports in front of you. On February 7th, we did determine a date for our board work session, which is, everybody was able to attend, so put that one in your calendar. Let's see here. I attended the negotiations committee meeting, observed it on December 5th. December 6th, I attended planning. I was in Hawthorne Elementary. I will be in Carl Ben tomorrow. On Friday at Fargo Public Health, we will be bringing forth a resolution for the committee to endorse trying to pass a city ordinance related to vaping, whether that is raising the age to 21 or talking about the flavors. The resolution is in process. The president and I are working on that. You covered the HUD survey. Apparently, the only people that are filling that out are 48-plus white females. So I said, well, if I fill it out, I'll be another one of those people. And then I was contacted by Charlesie Schneider. She has been hired by the Fargo Native American Commission and the City of Fargo to reestablish the Fargo-Moorhead Native Programs nonprofit organization. She asked me to serve on that board, but I think there are people that are more qualified than and I kind of referred her, I mentioned your two names, John and Rebecca, but if anybody else would be interested in serving on that board, please let me know. It is simply not viable in my schedule right now, so contact me with interest and I will forward you to Chelsea. I believe that is it. Any other items to share before we adjourn? Okay. I would say Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season. Our next regular meeting of the Fargo School Board is Tuesday, January 14th. Thank you.